Yeah, g'day. It's fugitive Australian journalist Shane Dowling from the website kangaroocourtofaustralia.com. Now, a few days ago, I published an article titled Nine Chairman Peter Costello is now promoting war with China after making millions of dollars lobbying for defence companies. Now, in that article, I focused on conflict of interest of people who are commentating and promoting the war with China or arguing against it even. Former Prime Minister Paul Keating arguing against it with his conflict of interest, which he hasn't disclosed. But in this video, I just want to focus on one thing, and that is the conflict of interest of executive editor Tory Maguire, given that she's married to David Miles. Now, in the article, I say David Miles works for Willard Public Affairs, and it says on their website, Willard is a specialist public affairs consultancy providing political counsel and strategy, media relations, event management, and advocacy services, which would be handy if you had to justify spending billions of dollars on defence. Now, I published that article on Sunday, the 12th of March. Now we know, a few days later, that the government's announced that it's going to be somewhere between $268 billion and $368 billion to buy 8 submarines. I think it might have been 13 in total. They're going to grab another 5 short term, but that's $368 billion, and anyone following defence knows that their defence contracts often blow out, so it could end up being $500 billion or a trillion, who knows. But that's a lot of expenditure that the government needed to justify. And we know from Robo-Debt Royal Commission, when the government was getting attacked in relation to individuals who are complaining to the media about false debts being lobbed on them by the government, that the government would go to News Corp and have them write stories attacking people who are complaining to the media. And I think that's what's happened in this case. I think David Miles has used his relationship with his wife. Now, I go on to say in the article, it must also be handy having his wife run 2 newspapers and their associated websites at Nine Entertainment, reaching millions of people daily. Even better when Nine Entertainment chairman Peter Costello likes making millions of dollars lobbying on behalf of defence companies. So I was doing research for this article and put David Miles into the internet search engine, and I came up with this article. Now, the article was published on the 2nd of March 2023, and it says, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese might have broken an election promise over changes to superannuation this week, but at least he keeps his promises to the midwinter ball. At last year's do, former Howard government advisor turned Willard Public Affairs lobbyist David Miles put up more than $10,000 at the charity auction to win a game of snooker with the PM. A regular midwinter ball bidder, we hear Miles backed his snooker game ahead of the showdown at the Lodge on Tuesday night. So it's only a couple of weeks ago that they played snooker at the Lodge. But Albo clearly had a misspent youth in the booze halls of the pre-gentrification inner west, plus a practice table at the new digs. He comfortably rinsed his opponent 3-0. No doubt the PM reckons he'll have the opposition leader, Peter Dutton, similarly snookered. Miles' wife, Tory Maguire, executive editor of the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age, was not in attendance. So to me, there's a blatant conflict of interest. Here you have Tory Maguire's papers promoting war with China, softening up the public when they knew there was going to be an announcement of huge expenditure, which the government has to justify. How does it justify spending $368 billion on submarines? Well, we got a potential war with China. The submarines aren't going to do much good because they're years away before we get them anyhow. Now, Nine Entertainment even uses a day show to promote the warmongering war with China propaganda that was coming from the Nine papers. Let's have a listen to that.
Australians are this morning being warned we could be at war with China within the next 3 years. Nine Federal Politics reporter Reese D'Alessandro has the details. Reese, it's a pretty dire prediction.
Yeah, it is, Carl, and it's one made by a panel of national security experts assembled by 9 newspapers, warning war could erupt as soon as 2026.
Now, a lot of people, including the ABC's Media Watch, gave Nine Entertainment a hiding for blatant warmongering. They had 5 so-called experts, but a lot of the experts in China and Taiwan, etc., were never called to give their opinion or ask their opinion. They just had 5 propagandists who jumped on board with the same argument. Oh, yeah, we're going to have war with China soon, which is total bullshit. And Tory Maguire should have declared in those articles, or the people writing articles should have declared that her husband, David Miles, only met with the Prime Minister a few weeks ago. And what's his specialty? Providing political counsel and strategy and media relations. If few weeks ago, he meets with the Prime Minister, and all of a sudden, the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age and Nine Entertainment and Channel 9 are running propaganda saying we're going to war with China. And that softens up the public to justify spending $368 billion on submarines, which we won't have for years anyhow. There's a huge conflict of interest out there, I believe, and an absolute disgrace. And I think what's really sad is other media aren't calling out. Media Watch did a story on the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age running propaganda in relation to a war with China, but they failed to mention Tory Maguire's relationship with David Miles and his meeting with the Prime Minister only a few weeks ago. Now, I'll do another video on this in the next week or two. Please share this video on Facebook and Twitter, etc. And thank you for your time and have a good day.